Let's speak about jealousy, which is the desire to have what someone else has. We've all felt it, but when it becomes a dominating feeling, it may negatively impact our lives and relationships. First and foremost, what precisely is envy? It's when we want what someone else has and are disappointed that we don't have it. Jealousy may present itself in a variety of ways, ranging from wishing for someone else's belongings, talents, or success to feeling threatened or resentful of them. I've had my fair share of encounters with jealous people, and let me tell you, it's not pleasant. Envious individuals may be difficult to cope with, and they can have a negative impact on our mental well-being. So don't worry, there are solutions. So, how do we identify someone who is envious? Envy might be difficult to detect, but it frequently manifests as jealousy or resentment. Perhaps they are always comparing themselves to others, or they are constantly trying to outdo everyone else. Perhaps they can't seem to be glad for others' achievement or are constantly trying to knock people down. So why are people envious? There are several causes for this, but it typically boils down to a lack of self-confidence or a sense of inadequacy. They may feel insufficient, so they crave what others have as a method to compensate. Now, let's get into the heart of this post, dealing with jealous individuals. My friends, let's go on to this video's part 2, in which we will discuss how to spot jealous people. Although while it might be difficult to spot jealous people, it's not impossible. Keeping an eye out for the telltale indications is the first step. They can always be attempting to outdo others, or they might not be able to celebrate another person's accomplishment. These activities may be the result of a deep-seated jealousy that motivates them. Yet, there's still more. Sometimes those who are jealous can be a little cunning. Even if they make an effort to conceal their genuine emotions, you can still expose them. When you communicate good news, be on the lookout for hints like lack of excitement or passive-aggressive remarks. Let's now discuss the causes of envy. Sometimes it's not as simple as we would imagine. While poor self-esteem or feelings of inadequacy may be the root of envy, there may also be other variables at work. For instance, someone could experience envy if they're going through a challenging moment in their own life or if they're having trouble with a particular problem. We may tackle the problem with understanding and kindness if we know why someone is feeling envy. It's critical to keep in mind that we are all human and experience difficulties. It might be easy to become defensive or combative while dealing with jealous people. Yet a more considerate approach can lead to better outcomes. Put yourself in their position and attempt to understand the problem from their point of view. Empathy-based responses can diffuse the situation and result in a better conclusion. In conclusion, it might be challenging to spot envious people, but it's not impossible. Watch for the warning signals, and take an understanding and sympathetic stance towards the circumstance. Keep in mind that because we are all human, we all suffer. Instead of pulling one another down, let's attempt to build each other up. Let's go on to section 3 and discuss the first method of dealing with jealous people, which is to ignore them. I know what you're thinking, are you avoiding them? Is that it? But believe me when I say that it is sometimes the best option. It's entirely fine to detach yourself from someone who brings nothing but negativity and turmoil into your life. Listen up, people, life is too short to spend it with poisonous people. Sometimes it's necessary to break ties and move on. It may be challenging, but it is for the best. Yet, avoiding someone does not need you to be unpleasant or nasty. You may still be courteous and polite while maintaining your distance. It all comes down to establishing appropriate limits for yourself. Because, let's face it, ignoring someone is far simpler than attempting to change them. Jealousy may be a deeply ingrained feeling that is difficult to overcome. Sometimes it's best to focus on yourself and let others cope with their own problems. Of course, there are times when avoiding someone is not an option. Perhaps you work together or have shared friends. In that instance, it's critical to establish limits and safeguard your own mental well-being. Don't let them knock you down or make you feel bad about your own problems. Finally, avoiding jealous individuals is sometimes the best approach to cope with them. It's all about establishing appropriate boundaries and safeguarding your personal well-being. Let us now discuss the second method of dealing with jealous people, which discusses how to respond with empathy while dealing with envious people. I know what you're thinking, empathy? Why should I feel sorry for someone who is envious of me? So bear with me. Acting with empathy does not imply that you must support their actions or allow them walk all over you. Putting yourself in their position and attempting to understand where they're coming from is all it takes. Envy is a complicated feeling that can come from a number of underlying concerns. Perhaps they are dealing with insecurities or the sensation that they are not good enough. By reacting with empathy, you may demonstrate that you are not their rival and may even assist them in resolving their own concerns. Nevertheless, to be clear, acting with empathy does not obligate you to take on their difficulties. It is critical to establish limits and defend your own mental well-being. You may still be compassionate and empathetic without allowing others to knock you down. And hey, responding with empathy can be advantageous in the long term. You may be able to settle the situation and avoid future drama by demonstrating kindness and empathy. You'll also feel better about yourself for choosing the high road. Of course, expressing empathy isn't always simple. It can be hard to deal with someone who is envious of you, and it's normal to want to strike back. Nevertheless, reacting with love and understanding can sometimes be the most potent weapon in your arsenal. Let us now discuss the third way to deal with jealous people: creating limits. I understand how difficult it is to create limits when you are dealing with someone who is continuously attempting to pull you down, but believe me when I say it's critical for your personal well-being. Establishing boundaries involves stating unequivocally what you will and will not tolerate. It is critical to convey your boundaries in a calm and authoritative manner. Don't be scared to speak out and tell them when their behavior is inappropriate. Remember that you deserve to be treated with respect and care, and it is okay to advocate for yourself. Setting limits is, of course, easier said than done. It's normal to want to avoid confrontation, and you may be concerned about offending someone. But keep in mind that you may be nice while setting boundaries. You're not attempting to harm them, rather, you're attempting to protect yourself. And hey, creating limits might be beneficial to the other person as well. You are providing them the option to adjust their conduct and enhance their mental well-being by letting them know what is and is not acceptable. But here's the thing, creating limits isn't something you do once. It is a continuous process that needs continual effort. It's normal to need to reconfirm your limits from time to time. It all comes down to sticking to your core ideals and convictions. Now, let's talk about the last but not least way to deal with envious people, which is focusing on self-improvement. While dealing with envious individuals, it's easy to become engrossed in their negativity and lose sight of your own ambitions and desires. Yet, as the saying goes, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Instead of allowing their envy to affect you, use it to motivate you to work even harder on yourself. Use their criticism to motivate you to achieve your objectives and become the best version of yourself. Setting specified, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound goals is one method to do this. These objectives should be centered on self-improvement and personal development. For example, you may make a goal to acquire a new skill, begin a new hobby, or read a book on a subject you've always wanted to learn more about but never had the opportunity. Surrounding oneself with positive and helpful individuals is another method to focus on self-improvement. These people will keep you motivated and focused on your goals, and they will urge you to keep going even when things become tough. It's crucial to remember that working on yourself isn't about attempting to outdo the jealous person or seeking revenge. Instead, it is about taking charge of your own life and utilizing their negativity as a springboard to becoming the best version of yourself. Thus, dealing with jealous individuals can be difficult, but there are various efficient strategies to cope with the problem. Whether you ignore the person, respond with empathy, create boundaries, or focus on self-improvement, remember that you have the ability to determine how you react to their jealousy. You can rise above their negativity and become the best version of yourself if you stay optimistic, driven, and focused on your own goals. Dealing with jealous friends might be difficult, but keep in mind that their envy is typically founded in their own insecurities and troubles. Knowing these triggers might help avoid jealousy from rearing its head. Perhaps your buddy is insecure about their work or relationship, or they believe they are not as successful as they would like to be. Whatever the cause, it is critical to tackle the issue with empathy and compassion. It's also critical to speak with your friend in an open and honest manner. If you suspect they're feeling envious, softly inquire as to how they're feeling and assure them that you're there to assist them. Just expressing their sentiments might help to relieve stress and keep things from escalating. Remember that it is not your responsibility to remove their jealousy or make them feel better, but being empathetic and helpful may go a long way towards preserving a successful connection. It's also critical to recognize that everyone has their own unique journey, and comparing oneself to others can only lead to disappointment. We all have our own unique abilities and weaknesses, and it's crucial to prioritize our own development above continually comparing ourselves to others. Self-compassion is one technique to increase resilience. Urge your friend to be kind with themselves and to acknowledge their own successes and qualities. Encourage them to explore their particular abilities and interests by assisting them in identifying them. Gratitude is another method to boost resilience. Urge your buddy to take time each day to think on the things in their life for which they are thankful. This might assist them change their emphasis away from what they don't have and towards what they do have. If your friend's jealousy is causing them severe discomfort, you should advise them to get professional therapy. A therapist can assist your buddy in processing their feelings and developing appropriate coping mechanisms. Keep in mind that developing resilience requires time and effort. It is critical to be patient with and supportive of your buddy while they attempt to overcome their envy. I have other videos on my channel related to this topic that I think you'll enjoy. In fact, I'm going to put some links to those videos in the description below, so be sure to check them out. They cover different aspects of dealing with envy and jealousy in relationships, and I think you'll find them valuable. Dealing with jealous friends may be a difficult scenario. It's difficult to know how to deal with it without feeling as if you're sacrificing yourself in the process. But, after hearing about the many methods to cope with jealousy and envious friends, I hope you have a better knowledge of how to manage the issue with grace and elegance. There are a lot of tactics that may help you navigate the rough seas of envy, whether it's identifying their causes, building resilience, creating limits, or concentrating on self-improvement. It's crucial to remember that jealousy is a natural feeling, and it's all right to experience it. What counts is how you deal with it. Thus, the next time you encounter an envious buddy, remember to respond with empathy and compassion, as well as to take care of yourself and create appropriate limits. Remember that you have the ability to shift your perspective and focus on your own growth and self-improvement. I hope you found this article to be informative and entertaining. Remember, we're all in this together, and with the correct mentality and techniques, we can conquer any challenge. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.